Welcome back to Inquiry XX121. Per usual, I am your host, Bryce. Now, today we have something a little bit different. Instead of talking about something in the alien universe that I have strong opinions on, or reviewing something, I want to talk about the only species in canon that the Yautja, the Predators, truly fear, which is something rather unique. So I'll give a little bit of background to this before I read a section out of the Rage War Book 3, Alien vs. Predator Armageddon. This is the third book in the Rage War series, Rage War trilogy written by Tim Lebbon. I'll do a review of those in the future. But these were first mentioned in Out of the Shadows. This book takes place in 2159. That is between the first and second movie. On a mining colony planet called LV-178. And while they're mining, they come across this ancient civilization where they end up letting out xenomorphs, and they find these remains of an alien species that had not otherwise been described in canon. They were described as dog people or dog aliens because they have like an elongated dog-like face. They're described to be fairly canine in nature. But they're 12 feet tall. And they have 4 legs and 2 arms, kind of centaurish-like. Not much is known about them. They're one of the more mysterious races in the Alien franchise. And there's many mysterious races in the Alien franchise. You know, you have the Yautja, the Predators, the Xenomorph species XX121, you have the Engineers in Prometheus, which also have beef with the Predators. But of all the ones that are mentioned, this is the only one the Predators have ever admitted to being truly afraid of. So what I'm going to do is read a small excerpt out of this book to give you kind of a feel for how the Predators feel about these, and then I'll explain more about the species after that. So the Predators and humans had to team up to fight this force of humans known as the Rage that was weaponizing xenomorphs. A little background. And one of the main characters is asking a Yautja chieftain named Yautja about the Drukathi. So this is what he has to say. "I can tell you some," he said finally. "Enough to illuminate. Enough to serve your purpose and our purpose in fighting the Rage. But the Drukathi have a history deeper and older than anything you comprehend. Their history with the Yautja is long. To us, your human lives are a fleeting thing. You are a whisper in the dark, hardly heard. I can hear your heart now, bang, 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 rushing toward your end, as if eager. To the Drukathi, Yautja lives would seem the same." So this is kind of the first experience we have of the Yautja describing the Drukathi. So we know they live much longer than the Yautja, which live for hundreds of years. And they're pressed a little bit more. So finally, after being pressed enough and asked enough questions about this species, and I'll talk a little bit about what's in between these two sections at the end of the video. But finally, the question is asked. Are you afraid of the Drukathi? Afraid of something that is no longer here? Pallant tilted her head. Perhaps, Yautja admitted, his words swallowed in something that might have been a sigh. So, yeah, even though they no longer have a presence in our galaxy, the Predators fear this race. They are so more technologically advanced. To give you a little bit of an idea of some of their technology, the Rage was able to become so much more advanced than the rest of humanity by discovering something they called the Phase in Mordrikathi ruins. And it's this slug-like robotic thing that crawls around their ship and improves it, gives them better, faster than light travel, better weaponry, the ability to split their ship into several other like smaller ships, and just generally just put them way ahead technologically. Not only that, it kind of guided them where they needed to go and how to do certain things. I'm not going to spoil too much. And even with all of that, the Yautja in this series come to the conclusion that though the Drukathi are gone, they're guiding this thing to eliminate humanity as a potential threat. It's kind of widely accepted and maybe a little bit theorized that the Drukathi would go to from galaxy to galaxy and seed them with contingency plans that would make sure no other species could rise to the same level as them. And this is apparent in things like the Phase, which just disappears by itself at the end of the book. And the fact that they are so deeply ingrained with the xenomorphs has led some to theorize, and I kind of like this theory, although I haven't fully adhered to it, haven't fully bought into it. But I kind of like the idea that these things made the xenomorphs as this galactic inhibitor that when civilizations got to a certain point, it brought them back down and made sure that they couldn't keep going. Because the Drukathi left the Milky Way about 1 million years ago, it says in the book, and go from galaxy to galaxy. So extragalactic species, very, very long lives, super technologically advanced, something that predators feared, and even large in stature as well. And it all kind of culminates to this kind of horrifying mystery that's still in the universe that Tim Lebbon introduced that I find very intriguing, as this civilization that is just not actively trying to destroy all other life, but just making sure nothing else can be a rival to it. And that puts it like pretty high up in a lot of different sci-fi for things they can do. For like an extragalactic civilization is rarely seen in sci-fi, let alone one that controls the fate of all species in the galaxy to the extent that these do, where they have these inhibitors where, okay, well, when you become starfaring, you're starting to become a threat, and we want to make sure you don't advance too much. So that's a little bit on the Drukathi. I hope you find this video interesting. The Drukathi are some of my favorite. They create some of my favorite mysteries in the alien universe. For like, did they make the aliens? Did they just use the aliens? Did they bring the aliens from another galaxy? Why do the predators fear them so much? What's going on between them and the predators? Like, what happened to make the predators fear them that much? And this also tells us that the predators have been around for at least 1 million years, because 1 million years, they know that the Drukathi have been gone for 1 million years, and they had a long history with the Yautja, which I can get into a little bit of the astrophysics of that, because the Yautja homeworld, I believe, is around an M-type star, I would imagine, or at least a K, low mass K-type star. These are red stars. I guess this is starting to bleed through my astrophysics background, but it makes sense why the predators see in infrared. If you have a star that peaks in the infrared, is typically what you see in, which these stars are the longest lived. It would make sense that the predators' home planet has been habitable for a very, very long time. So you could kind of guess that from just the physics setup of the situation, but this gives us insight into the Yautja and some of the history of the galaxy prior to a lot of the events in the Alien universe. So hopefully you found this interesting. If you want to hear more of this kind of content, where I explain some cool things in the Alien franchise, as opposed to just reviewing stuff, drop a comment, let me know. If you want to hear about something, have any questions, feel free to suggest them as well, and I'll try to get to them.